There are people who are destined to embrace endless pain and suffering, and there are people who desire to dream. Everybody dreams, of course, but does anybody want to dream more than the people of North Korea? Their lives are spent inside a virtual prison without even knowing about the truth or human rights. My hometown is North Korea, and near the Chinese border. I remember when I was 7 years old, there was a big crowd of people gathered together near the railway bridge, and I saw my first public execution. Also, I remember seeing flashing neon signs across the border in China compared to the constant power shortages in North Korea. I began to doubt that the government propaganda that our country is the best in the world. One of my final memories of North Korea is I saw a mother, her baby lying on the ground by a train station, and the mother was so skinny and the baby looked close to death. Sometimes I wonder if that baby is still alive now. After that, I made a great dramatic decision to go to China in search of freedom, but I quickly realized I never feel safe in China. I always had to hide my identity because of Chinese policy on repatriating North Korean defectors. And whenever I saw the Chinese police car, I was terrified that they would try to catch me. Eventually, I decided to come to South Korea. I had longed to put my feet on this soil even in my dreams, but I didn't know the way to get here. After a long time in China, in 2008, I was finally arrived at Incheon International Airport in South Korea, and I was declared myself a North Korean seeking asylum. Settling down in South Korea turned out to be a lot more challenging than I had expected. When I was sick, I couldn't call out my mother, my friend, my relatives were so far away. Among the difficulties I encountered, money problems were the hardest. I often found it difficult to pay rent. I also even went through an identity crisis. Am I South Korean or North Korean? Who am I? Sadly, there was no country I could call proudly my own. After a year's confusion, I finally managed to find meaning in my new life. And then one day I heard that my family in North Korea had been targeted by the authorities and then were to be forcibly removed to a remote area. And I agonized over the issue for a while, and I decided to go back for them. I met them at a Chinese border. I helped them escape from North Korea. And we traveled to the border of Laos, and I met a broker who I paid money already and take them to the South Korean embassy in Vientiane. And on my way to the airport to return to South Korea, I received a call that my family had been caught as they crossed the border. When I heard this, my whole world was broken. I entered Laos without any knowledge about the country, and I didn't speak English, and I had no clue where my family was. Again, I felt powerless and frustrated. Facing the reality, there was no one to hear me. I paid numerous fines, and I spent 50 days of going back and forth between the immigration office and the police station. I was finally able to meet my family again. And then another 9 months later, we were eventually reunited in Seoul. In South Korea, I'm continuing to learn English in order to boost my prospects. When North Korean defectors to try to get a job to stabilize their lives, but their lack of English is a handicap. Therefore, I started studying English a lot, and in 2011, I was admitted to the Hankuk University of Foreign Studies. I put all of my efforts into all of my activities. Then one day, I found that great opportunities coming to me. I hope today my brief story can help you guys to gain more insight into the difficult struggle facing many North Koreans. There are countless North Korean families just like mine. They have to suffer immensely to gain freedom and to live together in peace. These people need continued support and attention of the international community to help them achieve their dreams. I firmly believe that if we all work together, we can help North Korean people and make this world a better place. Thank you.
Growing up in North Korea, I never saw anything about love stories between men and women. There is no books, no songs, no press, no movies about love stories. There is no Romeo and Juliet. Every story was propaganda to brainwash us about the Kim dictators. A turning point in my life was when I saw the movie Titanic. It was fascinating to me that anyone would make a movie out of such a shameful story. I was wondering if the directors and actors would be killed. By the way, I'm really glad that DiCaprio is alive. Actually, that is what would happen to anyone make a movie out of such a shameful story in North Korea. How could they release such a movie? I was so curious. My curiosity didn't end there. When I was growing up in North Korea, the regime taught us that dying for the regime was the most honorable thing that anyone could do. When we were young, my sister and I saw the movie showing how beautiful it could be to die for the regime. We were inspired by it, and we pledged we would be willing to die, if necessary, for the Kims. When I was growing up in North Korea, the only story I heard about the outside world and how bad it was, and how lucky we were to be in North Korea. The North Korean regime always tried to convince me to do something for it, to die for it, controlling what we sing, say, wear, listen to, or think what we want. But I realized that Titanic showed me a human story about love, beauty, humanity. It showed me that people could value something for themselves. I was able to connect with the film. It gave me a taste of freedom. It wasn't propaganda, but a story, people dying for love, a man willing to die for a woman. It changed my thinking. It changed the way I saw the regime and their endless propaganda. Titanic made me realize that I was controlled by the regime. I was not aware, like a fish is not aware of water. North Koreans are abducted at birth, so they don't know the concepts of freedom or human rights. They don't know that they are slaves. I'm 21 years old, and there are many changes going on inside North Korea today. And it's my generation, often called 장마당 or black market generation. It will make change permanent. North Korea's black market generation has three main characteristics. The first characteristic of our black market generation is it has no devotion to the Kim dynasty. I was born in 1993, and Kim Il-sung, the country's founder, he died in 1994, and I was brainwashed to glorify him and his national self-reliance self-economic system. But I have no actual memory of him. The second characteristic of our black market generation is it has had wide access to outside media and information. The private market provides us more than food and clothing. It provides us DVDs like movies Titanic and USBs with Wikipedia. The third characteristic of our black market generation is we are capitalistic and individualistic. We grew up with the markets. We experienced selling and buying. I still remember when I was 7 years old, my father told me, as long as you know how to count money, then you don't have to learn anything from school. Yeah. When I was 12, I made the first my business deal with my mom. She gave me some startup cash, and I bought a rice vodka, which I bribed the orchard guard. He allowed me to sell persimmon from that orchard in the market. With the profit, I bought some candy for my mom. And I think it's a very important fact. Once you start trading for yourself, you start thinking for yourself. And that's a big threat to the Kim regime. This development of markets is important because it undermines the Sangwon system, where the regime puts people into strict classes. With the government in charge of the social classifications and food distribution, it always determines who would acquire wealth and who would starve. But the private market is removing from that regime's control. I escaped North Korea in 2007, and I lived as an illegal immigrant in China more than a year. After my father passed away in China, my mother and I decided to escape to Mongolia. Along with the 5 people in our team, we walked and crawled across the Gobi Desert, evading Chinese police, kidnappers, wild animals, and into Mongolia. We followed the compass. When that stopped working, we followed the stars to freedom. It seemed that only the stars were with us. Armed with knives, we were ready to kill ourselves if we were going to be sent back to North Korea. We begged Mongolian soldiers who caught us not to send us back to North Korea. We wanted to live as humans. In 2009, I made it to South Korea. Even though I escaped, I wasn't completely free regime's ideology. I still thought Kim had a special power. I even thought Kim Jong-il, the North Korean dictator, could read my mind. I was not free to think. In 2011, having the freedom to read whatever I wanted, I happened to read the book Animal Farm. It seemed that George Orwell was talking about North Korea. This book set me free from the emotional dictators in my head. It showed me that Kims are dictators using power to oppress people, and that North Koreans deserve freedom. I cried all night as I read it. Even now I get goosebumps as I read it. Titanic opened my eyes to see that people can live differently, and there is something else out there. The private market gave me opportunity to expose to the outside world, and Animal Farm set me free from brainwashing. The book symbolized freedom to me. In North Korea, the regime says they are so strong, but the reality is that they are so weak, so they can't allow other ideas. As I read it, and even when I read Communist Manifesto, I thought, this is freedom. The freedom to read opposing ideas. Lots of people think change in North Korea is impossible, but they might not realize that huge changes have already happened, and they are getting bigger and bigger every day.